Well, we're coming down the home stretch of the old Dawg Talk with Brock, and we'll get to extend into December with the Huskies going to a bowl game with that victory a couple Friday nights ago against UCLA. And, well, now it's here. And I don't know if they call it Hate Week. I don't know what they call this Oregon-Washington rivalry. I know I call it deeply personal. I know it has as much vitriol of anything west of the Rocky Mountains when it comes to rivalry. I know in talking to Kirk Herbstreit last year on a couple different occasions as he called this game, both in Seattle, in Vegas for the title game, he felt like, man, this is one of the rare like West Coast rivalries that has some serious SEC just venom and animus, and you are going to feel that. And Otson, I will tell you why when we get to the know part of this. What I learned, what I think, what I know. What I learned, what I think, what I know. What I have learned over the course of the bye week, and as we head here midweek into the Oregon game on Saturday afternoon, where the Huskies are nearly 20-point underdogs, as I thought they would be, what I've learned is that Jedd Fisch continues to do exactly the right thing. The Jedd Fisch, he's a wonderful salesman. He knows how to market. He knows how to talk. And he knows how to play coy when he needs to. He was asked on Monday at his presser about the quarterback situation and whether he knows, whether the team knows. What did it mean during the bye week? What are the reps going to look like this week? Here was Jedd Fisch playing pretty coy on Monday with the local press when asked about whether a decision's been made at the quarterback decision.
The quarterback situation resolved, though? I mean, do you know who you're starting and kind of like you plan to?
Yeah.
Right now?
I have a good idea on how we're going to do that.
So there's Jedd Fisch, and I'm going to lean into, this is not talking to Jed or anybody around the program. I'm going to lean into exactly what I said last week at this time, which is this has got to be your youngster. I mean, this has got to be Damon. This has got to be going to the true freshman in this case who has given you a spark the last couple of weeks. I'm going to go back to what Jedd Fisch said coming off the UCLA game and the Monday after into the bye week when he said, you know, what we're going to evaluate with our quarterback is moving the ball. What we're going to evaluate is that guy that can score some points. And whether it was the second half of Penn State, whether it was the second half versus UCLA when he was inserted into the lineup, not only did he give you a spark, that ball went up and down the field a whole lot more than it did with Will Rogers. So I think you're going to see the true freshman get his first start at Autzen Stadium, and heck, why not? Why not see exactly, what the bar is? The number one team in the country, undefeated. Dan Lanning has lost one game in 3 years in that stadium. Throw him right into the fire. To me, he's going to just gain so much incredible, valuable experience to see it, to sense it, to feel it. And the whole speed of the game just ratchets up a notch with everything on the line for Oregon as they, like Washington, are coming off a bye week and will be really fresh. So what I learned is that Jed can be coy. What I'm going to stick to is I really do think this will be the true freshman, Mr. Williams, making his first start down there in Autzen Stadium, where, remember, it never rains in Autzen Stadium. So that's what I've learned. Here's what I think. I think I've seen both Washington and Oregon this year. And I think when I do my old playground game, which is one of the last exercises I do in our production meeting the night before our kickoffs, is I walk through with our producer and our director and our team, and I say, okay, here's the deal. If we're on the playground and we're picking 22 starters, left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle, tight end, 3 wide receivers, a running back, quarterback, doing that on offense and likewise on defense. And I said, Oregon Duck or Washington Husky, left tackle, left guard, center. I think offensively, I find 2 Huskies that would be in the fold. Actually 3. Boston and Jackson would get into the rotation at receiver for Oregon, and Jonah Coleman would be splitting reps. He'd be the 1A down there at running back. So call it 9-2 offensively there, Oregon. Defensively, I think your D tackle, I think Voy, I think Carson Brunner is absolutely in the mix there within the front 7. In the secondary, maybe Cam Fabiculanen. So let's call that 8-3, 9-2-8-3. So we're looking at kind of 18 Ducks, 4 Huskies amongst the starters. I did this exercise last year on 2 different occasions. It was 11-11. It's why the game went down to the wire. Certainly in Seattle, went to the very final seconds with a kick. And in Vegas, the Huskies came out on the better end of it. But it was really even last year between these two. This season, it's not. This season, Oregon returned just about everybody. This season, Oregon entered about 11 guys from the portal, including the difference maker at quarterback that is in the top 3 in the Heisman chase right now in Dylan Gabriel. This year it's about 18-4, which again is I think why you see that spread at 19.5 points going into this one. So that is what I have learned over the course of the season. That's not real rocket science. I think if you took many of my peers in the analyst job, they would probably say the same thing, maybe even worse. Maybe it'd be 20-2 or 21-1. Who knows? But it's somewhere 18 to 20 of the starters you're going to take for the Ducks. So that is what I've learned. That is what I think. And here is ultimately what I do know. What I do know is that Autzen Stadium has become one of the most difficult places in all of college football to play. I do know that Dan Lanning, in 3 years as the head coach of the Oregon Ducks, is 33-5. And I remember early in my career when Chip Kelly was there, and I would see his record very similar. It'd be like 45-5. And I would remember all 5 of those losses. Like you could point out every one of those losses in the Chip Kelly era because they were that rare. Well, it's kind of getting into that era for Dan Lanning as well. Year number 3, the Ducks are 33-5. He's lost 5 times. He's lost 1 time in 3 years at home. And that one time was a call that yours truly happened to be on when Michael Penix made a throw out of this world a couple years ago to beat them and really come back in that game, knock Bo Nix out of it, just found a spark and were able to finish that off in a huge upset. So they beat them that year. That year they also lost 2 other times in the Civil War down there to Oregon State, where they too gave up a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter and got hammered in the first game in Atlanta against Georgia. Loses 3 times his first year. Loses 2 times last year, too. The University of Washington, both in Seattle, in Vegas. This year, he's 11-0. He's 33-5, and 3 of those 5 losses, more than half of his losses, have come to the purple and gold. They will be motivated. They will be frothing at the mouth. They are playing for the national championship. They are playing to be the number 1 seed in this playoff. You are absolutely going to get their very best shot. And here's what Washington has to do. They have to do what they did 2 years ago. They have to do what the Oregon State Beavers did. If I did that exercise 2 years ago, it would have probably been 16-6 Ducks versus Huskies. If I did that exercise in the Civil War that year, it would have probably been 19 Ducks to 3 Beavers. How did the Huskies and the Beavers beat the Ducks then? The same way that Washington will have to do it somehow, some way, as enormous underdogs now. And that is get this game to the second half. And somehow, some way, put all the pressure on the home team in their building. And somehow, some way, even though there's no Penix and no Roma Dunze and no Jalen McMillan and no down the line, have to make them remember that, dang, these guys have beaten us. They have found a way to get it done against us the last 3 occasions and create somehow, some way, some seed of doubt. And oh, by the way, probably win the turnover ratio about 3 or 4 as well. So it is going to be long odds. They're telling you that in Vegas. It should be Damon Williams, freshman phenom, starting quarterback, running around. And it should be just one heck of a venomous situation and a memory that true freshman will remember for the rest of his life. Good, bad, or ugly. This is, again, I'll double back on what I said last week. This is why the true freshman needs to play a quarterback, to gain this valuable experience as you point ahead to 2025 and beyond, where you hope a matchup isn't 19-3 or 20-2 or 18-4. You hope it's a whole lot closer, and who knows, maybe even tilt the scales your way at some point down the road.